Hello and welcome. Ulf here. For a very, very long time I haven't spoken in English to anybody. Over the last year mainly I made videos and explanations and teaching and so on in German. And that is the reason why perhaps a lot of people in the American area, also in Israel, in America and everywhere where they're English speakers, they didn't get a lot of things about current phenomena about Ephraim. So Ephraim, I'll call it here. So concerning Ephraim, we have an upcoming Shavuot conference with the Commonwealth of Israel. They have a 12-stone council, and I invite everybody of that 12-stone council. Avraham Feld, who started this, is a dear friend of mine. Avraham, welcome. Eddie Chumney is in that 12-stone council I saw. Another friend, Avi Lipkin, is also from the Jewish side and one of the founders of the International Christian Embassy, Murph Watson. I only met Murph briefly in the time I've been at the Christian Embassy myself. And nevertheless, we see that currently there are prophetic things happening hardly anybody in the world knows about. While I consider this like the biggest mystery fulfilled in our times, the return of Ephraim and the return of the lost 10 tribes and so on, the world actually hardly noticed anything about this. So you will not find this in the media, you will not find this in even major prophetic channels or Christian magazines or anything. People don't talk about this. So last week I talked to Dr. Jürgen Bühler and had like a quite interesting short conversation about a topic, exactly about this topic, because there are some stumbling blocks in the Christian world concerning this topic. And besides everything what you believe or what's written in the Bible, I would like to first actually point out that the history of Israel and also the history of the United States is very connected with the history of Germany. Okay, and I put this here in, and today we have here Germany, which is the Federal Republic of Germany, BRD, on the one side. On the other side we have Israel. And here, of course, we have the USA, and the USA is the host of the United Nations. And because of the Second World War, the Federal Republic of Germany came into being on 23/5/49. So we have an upcoming birthday of the Federal Republic of Germany. Then, of course, we have 1948, we have Israel coming into existence. Why? Because 1947, the UN created a partition plan, so that Israel can become a state. So it is obvious for anybody who is reading the Torah that the land of Israel currently is not in its state as it should be. Why? Because the center of everything is Jerusalem. And about Jerusalem, everybody fights. Everybody fights. So now, when we take a look at our history as it is today, all right, we have to understand, I think, that we are the results of our forefathers, the decisions of our forefathers. We are the sum of everything what our fathers did, and depending on where you were born, you bear, in quotation, the sins of your forefathers until the day you make the proper actions so that these sins are washed away. Now currently, on 25/5, 2014, the Pope placed himself in the temple, okay? He made a deal with the Palestinians, and of course he went onto the grave, over the grave of King David, and proclaimed himself like King of Jerusalem, if you like. So all the proper actions to identify the so-called Antichrist from the beast in Revelation, we have everything set up. All right? We have everything set up. So, now the question for everybody, of course, is how is this thing resolved? How is this thing resolved? Why? Because Israel goes to Rome, tries to make like contracts with Rome. The Federal Republic of Germany is based on Roman law, and the USA was actually founded with Rome as one of their trustees. All right, and today, within the UN, the Vatican holds a specific, a special place in the United Nations. And what they're actually doing, it's a service company, if you like, and that service company is responsible for the Roman law. Now, the Roman law, in the meantime, since the Second World War, is private law. This is a private organization. It's a private organization. It's not a state organization. These are people, these are private people who came together and said, okay, we have a global agenda. These are the globalists. Okay? Now, why was it good? Because, of course, the USA have, with their money system, with the Federal Reserve System, their interest was to spread their money all over the world, but the Federal Reserve also is a private company. It's a private company. Now the same is with Germany. Germany in the meantime is set up as a limited. Now I really don't know, I didn't check into this how Israel is set up, but Israel is an entity, it's a Zionist entity, and has its root in the Declaration of Zionism in 1897, where Herzl used the Roman law negotiorum gestio, which is management without order, without instruction, in order to create a state. So the Zionist entity, they created Israel because they pulled themselves together and said, okay, we start today, we start a Jewish people, and we started as a business. And in 48, of course, 47, 48, 49, oops, all right, these organizations came into being, all right, and this is a historical fact. So now how does this all relate to Ephraim? Well, Ephraim, a lot of people know that I claim for at least 16 years, in the year 2000, I woke up. The Lord woke me up in the middle of the night and gave me the revelation about the two kingdoms, the two houses of Israel. All right. Now the question is, how did I get to Israel? How did I get to Jerusalem in the first place? And then this is, I think, very important. Because in 1994, I was called by the Lord. I had a visitation, and this is why I went. At the end of the day, I went to Israel. All right, and I got a calling to be a preacher of the gospel of the kingdom. The gospel of the kingdom. There are a lot of people that are preaching about Jesus, about forgiveness of things, and all types of stuff. But for me, my calling from the very first day since 1994 was to be a preacher for the kingdom. Why? Because the very last thing Jesus tried to answer was the question according to the kingdom, after the kingdom, when the disciples came and said, Jesus, has now the time come that you will restore the kingdom back to Israel. And of course, Jesus didn't know. He said, no, I don't know. It's not now. It's the Father who did this in his own time. And I don't know. So, and this is Jesus in his resurrected form. Now, I think this will finish all the discussion if Jesus is God or not God. I mean, he was not all-knowing. He didn't know when this kingdom will be established, so he cannot be God. Okay, but this is actually in the core of the teaching of the Pope. It's the Trinity. All right, this is the core of the soul. Now, back then in 1994, I didn't know anything of this. I didn't know anything about this. But what I did know was that I got a special calling, and in 1995, and this is now 21 years ago, I went to court. And the court asked me, okay, Ulf, what is your profession? And I said, yeah, I'm a priest of the Most High. And they asked, okay, what do you mean? I said, yeah, there is only one God. He's unseen. He's the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And according to our basic law here in Germany, this is Article 4. Article 4 of the basic law. It's Article 9 and it's Article 140. Okay. I can claim to believe in whatever I believe. You know, everybody can do that. I mean, the Catholics are doing this, the evangelicals are doing this, the Jewish people are doing this. Everybody is allowed to proclaim his faith, and because we have freedom and religion, I, of course, can not only proclaim my faith, I also can execute my faith. So what happened then, that I came to Israel in 1996, I studied there, and at the end of the day, you know, in the year 2000, made quite some issues. If you think about, you know, I became a believer in 1994, then I totally immigrated into Israel, and in the year 2000 created the Word from Jerusalem of the ICEJ, and was the first German coming out of you know, a Lutheran state church, proclaiming that I'm priest of the Most High, and created the Torah from Zion. All right. So there are a lot of witnesses to this in this time. Now, I left the embassy because in the year 2000, I said, okay, wait a second. The prophets are saying that not only the Jewish people are coming home, but that the lost tribes, that Ephraim, Joseph, is coming home too. And this became one of the major stumbling blocks, and on 31/12/2002, I left the embassy because I had a very big chat with Malcolm Heading, back then executive director of the ICEJ, about Ephraim, and he said, no, you cannot see this. It's not a physical issue. It's a spiritual issue. And my thing was, this cannot be. I mean, when the prophets are talking in Ezekiel 37, how the two sticks are coming together, there have to be two nations. There have to be two nations. Now, because of the teaching of the church for now 1,500 years, okay, everybody who had like a total different view on the Trinity, on Sunday worship, and on the person of you know, Jesus, about the Torah, and so on, he was an outcast. Okay, and I really have to make this as a point, because when I you know, got baptized, you know, when I got mikved, when I made a mikveh, first of all, I made a vow. I made a vow that I will not listen to anybody else, because I want to find out the truth. Everybody is talking, you know. The Germans are talking about, you know, about Luther. They're talking about the Pope. They were very proud that we had a German Pope. Of course, in Israel, you have like the all kinds of different religious groups. You know, they have your Orthodox, you have the Mitnagdim, you have the Chadisim, the Bratislava, the Nachmanides. You know, there is no agreed upon Judaism. There is no agreed upon Judaism. And of course, in the United States, you have, I don't know, several thousand denominations where everybody can say whatever he likes. All right. Now, when I came to Israel, I, you know, didn't know, not that I didn't know anything about the history, You know, my first reaction when I started reading the Bible, I said, this is strange. It's a book about Israel. It's a book only about Israel. Jesus came to save the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Okay? Now, what that all means, that when I came out as a Lutheran, you know, I became, in 1994, like an outcast under the death penalty, if you like. Because in 1992, the Lutherans, so my born into, where I was born into, the Lutherans actually say, no, the Augsburg Confession from 1530 is still valid today. It's still valid today. And when you get baptized, so if you do not accept that child baptism where somebody sprinkles some water on you, you are anathema. You have to be killed. So the Baptists, they were the first one. There were 200,000 Baptists got killed because they did not accept the authority neither of the Pope nor of Luther. Okay? And for hundreds of years, people, you know, especially those in Germany, had this fight. Okay, who do I submit to? Do I submit to the Pope? Do I submit to Luther? Or am I an outcast, get baptized, you know, even get filled with the Holy Spirit or something like this? Now, if you were on this side of the fence, you know, getting baptized and get filled with the Holy Spirit, you were in a cult. You were subject to discriminations, to death penalties, you got burned at the stake, and so on and so on. And it's only after this combination of states came out, there was even possible for some people, you know, to express their faith without being persecuted and without being killed. And I thank God for this, because for everything what I did in the last 21 years, according to the laws of Rome, you know, back in the times, I would have been long dead. I would have been long dead. So, that said, you cannot take out the possibility that Germany is playing a vital role in the restoration of the kingdom back to Israel. It is impossible that you take Germany out. Why? Because of Martin Luther and you know, his work of the lies of the Jews, you know, of the Jews and their lies, which became the standard work for Adolf Hitler to persecute the Jews in the Holocaust. All right, and up to this day, 2016, there never ever had been like a confession by the Lutherans that they were actually following the wrong doctrines and made like you know, ask for forgiveness in Israel. Nobody did this. No Lutheran ever. Now the Pope never did this either. All right, but it has to happen, and because out of this reason, I formed, under German law, now in the year 2015, all right, 2015, I already made an official organization represented solely by me. So I'm not alone, but this was my decision to create the priesthood of the order of Melchizedek. So. All right. So this priesthood is operating since last year. All right. So why last year? Why on 25/5? Because 25/5 is my birthday. It's my birthday, and you could all make me a great gift by listening to the second part, and then really think about how Ephraim, priest of the order of Melchizedek, is able to become the Prince of Peace in order to bring these three groups with their, on the one side, Greek mindset, you know, philosophy, democracy, humanism, the Greek mindset, together with the Roman law, all right, and to transfer, and this is really what Torah wants, to transfer this Roman Greek mindset and law into a law of Torah, as written in the Bible. So I have quite some good idea about this. And everybody who's listening to this from Ephraim, everybody who considers himself to be of Joseph, and so on, there are implications for you. And I already say this now, because there are discussions, what has happened, what has not happened. Ephraim made a declaration of independence in 2005. All right? And I called, in the beginning of last year, I called Ephraim Frank about this. I called Ephraim Frank because he was present on this. Now, Abraham Feld was present in this Declaration of Independence too. Scott Diffendorfer was present. Gerrit Nell was present on this day. And it was actually me who got the right hand of blessing from Abraham. Now, what anybody else thinks about this was in a closed group, in a very small group. Now, the Declaration of Independence in 2005 was in Ramat Rachel. It was in front of a larger group. And on that day already, the Ephraim National Fund was founded. And so the Ephraim National Fund is today in business for 11 years. And there is a lot of stuff to do. Nobody knows about. Why? Because I had to fulfill, where you see this, some biblical prophecies, and was totally out for exactly 7 years to the day. And the person who woke me up is Dr. Jürgen Bühler from the ICJ. You can ask him about it, what I told him. And anyway, I told him also that this whole issue with Ephraim in connection with my person will not stop until I get certain answers by various people. Now, I'm not talking about regular believers. I'm not talking about anybody who has a ministry or is involved in Bible teaching or Torah teaching. There is only one position in this whole scheme, all right, I want to go after. And this is definitely the Pope. This is the Pope, because he and his doctrines is the biggest obstacle of peace between our people, between our families, okay, and between the different groups of faith. So, and how are we able to resolve this? I'm telling you in the next video when I'm talking a bit about the 25/5 of this year, of last year, and what actually happened on my birthday. And I think you should absolutely listen to this, watch it, and then you can hopefully make me a little gift, of recognition. So guys, I love you. See you in the second part, and see you soon.